My daughter wrapped her arms around my neck and asked in a sweet childish voice, "Mommy, today is my birthday. Can I skip going to kindergarten?" Instantly, my eyes welled up with tears. On this very day in my past life, my daughter had asked the same question. Secretly, I wished to let her take a day off. However, my husband, Young Lin, said that we couldn't let our daughter develop bad habits. So he took her to school as usual. He made an appointment with me that we would take her to the evening session at Disneyland after school. But somehow, after I went to work, my daughter, who should have been at kindergarten, appeared in my car. The outdoor temperature that day soared to 40 degrees Celsius. My phone was on mute, and I didn't answer Young Lin's calls. Eventually, he came to my company to find me. By the time I rushed to the parking lot and opened the car door, my daughter had been suffocated to death. At this moment, my memories were interrupted by my husband. He pushed the door open and called out to our daughter, "Yuan, we're good kids. We can't skip school. Mommy and Daddy promise you that we'll take you to Disneyland after you finish school, okay?" Yuan was an obedient child. She nimbly got up, kissed me, and followed my husband to wash up. Her soft lips landed on my cheek. My hand tightened under the quilt. Young Lin smiled at me and said, "I'll take Yuan to school. You rest a little longer." Looking at his gentle demeanor, I could hardly associate him with the man who had hurled abuse at me in my previous life. How could I possibly fall asleep? So, I got out of bed as well. Seeing this, Young Lin asked, "You worked overtime so late last night. Why don't you sleep more?" I tried my best to appear natural. "I want to go downstairs to buy some fried dough sticks." Hearing this, the nanny immediately smiled and said she would go. I waved my hand. "Aunt Wang, you quickly help Yuan pack her school bag. I can go by myself." After giving birth to Yuan, my mother helped take care of her for half a year. Later, Young Lin went to a domestic service company and chose Aunt Wang to take care of our daily life. Aunt Wang was 5 years younger than my mother. She cooked delicious food, was very clean, and was diligent. She also adored Yuan. So I treated Aunt Wang extremely well. But this person, whom I regarded as a second mother, actually slandered me together with Young Lin in my previous life. They said that I favored sons over daughters, and always wanted to have another son. Thinking of this, a chill ran through my body, and I couldn't help shivering even in the bright sunshine. I bought the fried dough sticks and returned home. Yuan had finished her breakfast. Young Lin took Yuan to school and thoughtfully reminded me, "Today, the highest temperature will be 40 degrees Celsius. Be careful of heat stroke." I nodded, had breakfast in a hurry, and entered the bathroom. When I turned on my phone, I sneered. Sure enough, my phone had been muted by Young Lin. I had been busy with meetings after arriving at the company, and hadn't checked my phone on my own initiative. When it was time for lunch, Young Lin suddenly burst into my office. "Zhao Qingqing, I called you so many times. Why didn't you answer any of them?" I picked up my phone and saw dozens of missed calls. Besides the calls from him and Aunt Wang, there were also many from business partners. But my phone hadn't rung all morning. Upon closer inspection, it had been muted at some point. Usually, to avoid missing any client calls, I always set my phone's ringtone to the maximum. This was definitely not a mistake I would make. Before I could figure out why my phone was muted, Young Lin slapped me across the face. "You left Yuan in the car, and she's suffocated to death now. You deliberately didn't answer the phone, because you wanted to kill our daughter. You're a murderer." I was stunned by the slap. "Young Lin, are you kidding me? You sent Yuan to kindergarten early in the morning. How could she be in my car?" Young Lin's eyes were bloodshot, and tears streamed down his face. "Zhao Qingqing, I never thought you could be so vicious. Today, you took Yuan out, and said you were going to Disneyland for her birthday. Then you put her in your car, suffocated her to death, and now you're denying it." I shook off his hand that was pulling me. "Young Lin, are you crazy? If Yuan didn't go to kindergarten, the teacher would definitely call us." But among my missed calls, there was no call from the kindergarten teacher. Young Lin said, "When I picked up Yuan last night, didn't you ask me to ask the teacher for leave?" My mind was in a complete mess, and I even doubted if my memory was playing tricks on me. Suddenly, my colleague called out to me, "Sister Qing, why are there so many people gathered in the parking lot?" Just then, Aunt Wang called Young Lin. She was crying heartbreakingly. "Young Lin, have you found Zhao Qingqing yet? The child has already passed away. Hurry up and open the car door. In such a hot day, if we delay any longer, the body will start to stink." Only then did I realize that something had really happened to Yuan in my car. Remembering this scene from my previous life, I changed my phone back to the normal mode, picked up my keys, and went to work. When I reached the garage and opened the car door, I searched inside and out, but didn't see Yuan's figure. Sitting in the car, I thought, I had only bought this car 3 days ago. On the day I picked it up, I originally wanted to install the dash cam right away. Yang Lin said that his friend was in this line of work, and that he would drive the car there to install it another day. So it was temporarily put off. That's why in my previous life, I couldn't produce any evidence, saying that the child hadn't been taken to the car by me. I took out a voice recorder from my bag and tossed it under the car seat. Then I made a call to Yuan Yuan's head teacher with the speakerphone on. Miss Zhang, has Yuan Yuan arrived in the class? Miss Zhang sounded surprised. Yuan Yuan's mom, when her dad came to pick her up yesterday, he said that Yuan Yuan would ask for leave today to celebrate her birthday at Disneyland. I feigned sudden realization. Oh, maybe her dad was too busy and didn't have time to tell me. I exchanged a few more pleasantries with Miss Zhang, and then hung up the phone. It seemed that Yang Lin had already started to implement his plan. By this time, the car had reached the downstairs of the company. I parked it in a shady spot, left enough water and food, and gave a pack of cigarettes to the parking lot security guard. I specifically told him, my car was just picked up, and it's been scratched. The parking lot surveillance has been broken for 2 days, and hasn't been repaired yet. Please keep an eye on it for me. If you see anyone loitering around my car, don't alert them. Just take a video and send it to me. After going upstairs, I canceled today's meeting and sat alone in the office, blowing the air conditioner and browsing videos. At 9 a.m., I received a video from the security guard. I saw Yang Lin take out the spare key and put our daughter into my car. He whispered a few words to her, and our daughter clapped her hands happily. Yang Lin then took away the water and food and closed the car windows tightly. The security guard asked me, General Manager Zhao, this person has the key. Is he a family member of yours? I replied, yes, he's my husband and my daughter. The security guard felt relieved. I told him that he didn't need to watch my car anymore and could go on duty elsewhere. After hanging up the phone, I watched the video over and over again, unable to figure out why Yang Lin was doing this. Yang Lin and I were college classmates. He came from a poor family, but treated me very well. After graduating from college, I married him against my family's objections. He also moved my parents with his enthusiasm. After our daughter was born, my parents completely accepted him. Now that we've been married for 5 years, we've never quarreled. He loved me and our daughter. I once thought I was the happiest woman in the world. But now, seeing the spare car key in his hand, I couldn't help shivering. In the previous life, when Yang Lin and the nanny found our daughter trapped in my car and unconscious, they kept calling me desperately. Because my phone was on mute, I didn't answer. Then a bystander asked him if he had a spare key. He said pitifully that this was my new car, and he was reluctant to let me drive it, so he hid the spare key. Later, because they couldn't reach me for a long time, someone suggested smashing the car window to save the child. He still refused. If my wife knows that I decided to smash the car, she will divorce me. Just like that, he neither smashed the window nor called the police, delaying the best rescue time for our daughter, until she was suffocated to death in the car. He clearly knew that my company was just upstairs, but he only called and sent WeChat messages instead of coming upstairs to look for me. It was not until our daughter had completely lost her breath that he came upstairs to find me. But by then, it was too late to save my daughter. I recalled these things bit by bit, with a belly full of questions, and reviewed the whole thing over and over again, trying to find the truth about why Yang Lin wanted to kill our daughter. At this moment, a message came on my phone. Looking at this message, I suddenly had an idea. I made a call to confirm and finally understood. After hanging up the phone, I found a telescope and looked down from the window. I saw Yang Lin had already brought the nanny, Aunt Wang, to the parking lot. Yang Lin and Aunt Wang were standing next to my car, observing the situation inside through the window and discussing something. In the previous life, the thing I couldn't figure out the most was why Aunt Wang would slander me together with Yang Lin. If Aunt Wang was a woman of a similar age to Yang Lin, or even a few years older than him, I could have concluded that there was some kind of relationship between them. So they could have killed Yuan Yuan and framed me so that they could be together. But Aunt Wang was really of my mother's generation. Her relationship with Yang Lin was like that of a mother and son. There was no way they had that kind of relationship. However, the call I just made had given me the answer. I coldly watched downstairs. At this time, Yang Lin also called me, but the ringtone stopped after just one ring. Next, their 2 phones rang every few minutes, but they all hung up after 1 ring. Obviously, even though Yang Lin had muted my phone, they were still afraid that I would answer the call, so they were so cautious. At this time, I cooperated with them, pretending not to see the calls and neither answering nor replying. Until there were 2 circles of people downstairs, I changed my clothes, put on a hat and a mask, and walked out of the office. Before leaving, I didn't forget to take a cold drink. After going downstairs, I saw Yang Lin pounding on the car window in the crowd of onlookers, shouting loudly, Yuan Yuan, look at Dad. Answer Dad. Inside the car, my daughter was lying face down motionless. The clothes on her back were completely soaked, and her hair was wet and in strands. At this time someone asked Yang Lin, you're the child's father. Hurry up and open the car door. Yang Lin's eyes were red. This isn't my car. It's my wife's. Today is my daughter's 4th birthday. Early in the morning, my wife said she would take her to Disneyland, but she left my daughter in the car. She's not answering the phone now, and I can't find her. The nanny, Aunt Wang, was crying so hard that she almost collapsed on the ground. Yuan, look at Granny Wang. My poor child. I know your mom doesn't like you and always wants a boy, but I never thought she was so cruel as to leave you in the car and try to suffocate you. She was weeping bitterly in front of the crowd. I'm the nanny of their family. Yuan is such a good and obedient child, but her mother just dislikes her because she's a girl. If I had known this, I wouldn't have let Yuan go with her mother today. Hearing that the child's mother favored sons over daughters, everyone was extremely angry. Just like in the previous life, someone asked Lin if he had a spare key. He stamped his foot anxiously. This is my wife's new car. She's reluctant to let me drive it, so she hid the spare key. A man immediately went to his car trunk to get a hammer. What are we waiting for? Hurry up and smash the glass. Lin quickly pulled him back. No, my wife likes this car very much. If she knows that I decided to smash the car, she will divorce me. Let's wait a little longer. I will definitely find her. The man looked at Lin like he was crazy. Aunt Wang spoke up for him. We don't blame him. I'm their nanny. I know his wife's temper. The car really can't be smashed or we're all doomed. The man who had proposed smashing the car just now gasped. Dude, you married a tigress, not a wife. As he spoke, he turned on his phone and started filming. The people around were also filming and constantly forwarding. Soon, I looked down at a social media platform and found that this matter had already gone viral on the internet. Netizens were filled with indignation. After finding out the location of the incident, they rushed over one after another. Seeing more and more people gathering, Lin started his passionate performance. He leaned decadently against the car and pounded his head hard. It's all my fault. I'm useless. I can't save my own daughter. I always knew that my wife didn't like my daughter, but I thought even a tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. I never thought she was really so vicious as to do such an inhumane thing. Today is my daughter's birthday. Originally, I was going to take her to kindergarten, but my wife disagreed. She said she would take our daughter to Disneyland, so I went to work first. How could I have thought that she would deliberately leave the child in the car? At this time, Aunt Wang was clinging to the car window, looking at the motionless Yuan, with tears and snot streaming down. Yuan, my poor child. How could Granny Wang have thought that your birthday would be your death day? How could there be such a heartless mother in the world? I clearly saw that there was water and food in her car yesterday, but she took it all away when she got out of the car today. She really wants this child to die. Last night, Yuan told me that her mom always hit her and called her a money-losing burden. Yuan also wanted me to take her back to our rural hometown. If I had known this, I would rather be called a child trafficker and take Yuan away. God, how could this woman be so cruel? Lin was crying. Her family is rich and powerful. She has someone to back her up no matter what she does. She's not afraid at all. As he spoke, he took out his phone and showed everyone the video inside. Look, this is my wife. Her parents live in the Jinshuwen Villa area. My father-in-law just retired from the position of the top leader of a state-owned enterprise. My mother-in-law has been doing business. Their family is very rich. With this, the omnipotent netizens quickly dug out my parents' information and locked down the location of my home. A dozen minutes later, my phone suddenly rang. My mother asked me nervously, Ching, what's going on? Someone came and smashed our windows, saying that you deliberately left Yuan in the car and suffocated her to death. Hearing her long-lost voice, my nose twitched. The tragic death of my parents in the previous life seemed to be still in front of my eyes. I quickly comforted my mother. You lock the door immediately, call the police, and just stay at home with Dad. Don't come out. My mother wanted to say something else, but Lin had already heard my voice. When he saw me, he was stunned. Zhao Ching, why are you here? The nanny's crying also stopped abruptly. Someone asked, who is she? Lin stammered, she's my wife. What? The crowd erupted immediately. This woman has been standing here watching the excitement for a long time, and has been refusing to stand up. Yes, she's been standing right next to me, still drinking a cold drink. I never thought she was the child's mother. She clearly wants to kill the child. Such a woman doesn't deserve to be a mother. The netizens were extremely excited. Everyone pushed and shoved towards me. Someone had already raised their fist. I calmly picked up my phone. Don't do anything. If you do, I'll call the police immediately. As soon as they heard that I was going to call the police, Lin immediately panicked. I showed up an hour earlier than he expected. If I called the police now, the police would definitely call an ambulance directly. If the ambulance came, Yuan would have a chance of survival. So he quickly stood in front of me and said to those people, let's talk things out. Don't call the police. Don't hit my wife. The nanny, Aunt Wang, came over crying and grabbed my hand. What are you calling the police for? Just call the funeral home and have the body cremated. If we delay any longer, the child's body will be cooked and stink. I forcefully shook off her hand. Are you in such a hurry to cremate Yuan? Aunt Wang was stunned. Some people started to murmur. Yes, what's wrong with this nanny? The child hasn't been rescued yet, and she wants to send her to the funeral home. Lin also panicked. He simply knelt down in front of me, diverting the topic back to me. Wife, you've been here all along. Why didn't you save Yuan? I looked at him calmly. Husband, what's wrong with you? You clearly took Yuan to kindergarten this morning. How could Yuan be in my car? I thought you had prepared some surprise for me. Lin was well prepared. Wife, what on earth are you babbling about? Wasn't it you who intended to take Yuan out for fun? When I went to pick up Yuan last night, You specifically instructed me to ask the teacher for leave. If you don't believe me, we can call the teacher right away. At this moment, some onlookers grew anxious. Stop spouting such irrelevant nonsense. Yuanyuan's mother, hurry up and open the car door to save the child. I sneered and said, you all must be the extras hired by my husband. Your acting skills are truly remarkable. Young Lin, however, showed no urgency in rescuing the child. He leisurely picked up his phone and dialed Miss Zhang. The teacher testified that Yuanyuan had indeed been granted leave. I played along with Young Lin and feigned surprise, changing my expression. Husband, how could this be? In Young Lin's eyes, there was a gleam of triumph that only I could discern. Wife, stop pretending. If you admit now that you intended to kill Yuanyuan, I might still consider forgiving you. Some people started to berate him. Are you out of your mind? Your wife is suspected of wanting to kill your daughter, and yet you say you'll forgive her? Forget about forgiveness. Just save the child already. Look, the outdoor temperature is 40 degrees Celsius now. It must be a sweltering 60 to 70 degrees Celsius inside the car. The child has been motionless for ages. She might already be gone. I retorted calmly and methodically to Young Lin. You claim that I wanted to suffocate Yuanyuan in the car. Well, let me ask you this. Why aren't you at your workplace at this hour? Instead, you're here in the parking lot downstairs of my company. Not only did you show up at the parking lot, but you also discovered that Yuanyuan was in my car. Are you clairvoyant? Moreover, after you found Yuanyuan, why didn't you call the police immediately? Instead, you went to find the nanny. Is Aunt Wang capable of performing first aid or opening the car door? Besides, my company is just upstairs. You said I didn't answer the phone. So why didn't you come upstairs to look for me right away? Instead, you chose to stay here and manipulate public opinion among the onlookers. My series of incisive questions left Young Lin speechless. Some people in the crowd had already started to side with me, unable to come up with a response, and estimating that Yuanyuan should be dead by now. Young Lin hastily grabbed my hand. Wife, if you truly desire a son, I'll cooperate with you to conceive one tonight. But Yuanyuan is also your own flesh and blood. Please save her quickly. I took the last sip of my cold beverage. But husband, after I arrived at the company today, I accidentally misplaced my car key. Don't you have the spare key? Why don't you open the car door? The crowd erupted in an uproar. My husband flinched as if scalded and abruptly shook off my hand. Zhao Qingqing, what utter nonsense are you spouting? You're so stingy that you won't even let me sit in the car you bought. How on earth could you have given me the spare key? The nanny immediately chimed in. I can vouch for this. Zhao Qingqing never gave that key to Yuanyuan's father. I let out a scornful laugh. Well, since you don't have the key, why didn't you smash the car window? Young Lin, it seems to me that you don't want Yuanyuan to survive. Initially, some people had harbored doubts about Young Lin's refusal to smash the car window. Now that I brought it up, many immediately echoed my sentiment. Exactly. When a rational person can't locate the child's mother, shouldn't they smash the car window without hesitation? But you said that if you smash the car, your wife will divorce you. So which is more important, the child's life or the possibility of divorce? For such a long time, everyone has proposed one rescue plan after another, yet this child's father has consistently refused to implement them. He won't even allow us to call the police. Seeing that public opinion was gradually shifting in my favor, I pointed at Young Lin. He has the spare key. It's right on him. I lunged forward and tried to rummage through Young Lin's pockets. Young Lin tightly covered his pockets, and the nanny rushed forward to pull me away. The onlookers found it rather suspicious. Why did the child's father seem so terrified of the child's mother searching his pockets? Could he really have the car key? The nanny's behavior was also highly suspect. If, as she claimed, she loved the child so deeply, she should have joined the child's mother in searching for the key. As everyone speculated, they were also eager to assist me in looking for the key. Young Lin let out a furious roar, forbidding us to approach. Just then the police arrived. Who called the police? The police officer inquired upon arrival. I raised my hand. It was me. I sent a message to report it. Officer, I suspect that my husband intends to kill my daughter. The police officer furrowed his brow. Where is your daughter? She's in the car, and the car key is with my husband. Facing the police, Young Lin had no choice but to reluctantly check his pocket. To everyone's surprise, he actually pulled out a key. Even at this moment, he continued to quibble. Why is the key in my pocket? Zhao Qingqing, did you put it in there this morning? I'm being wrongly accused. I have no idea about this at all. Are you certain you don't know? I sneered. Well, would you like to take a look at this? I retrieved the video sent to me by the security guard from my phone. Young Lin, while I was at work, you lured Yuanyuan into my car, removed the water and food inside, sealed the car window shut, and then turned around and accused me of suffocating our daughter. What on earth is your intention? Young Lin hadn't anticipated that this scene would be recorded. At that moment, the police had already opened the car door. As soon as the door swung open, despite the intense heat outside, the searing heat wave that billowed out from inside still hit us in the face. Everyone let out a gasp of shock. Aunt Wang also wailed, "Poor Yuanyuan. Don't disturb her. Hurry up and take her to be cremated so that she can rest in peace." I saw my daughter, Yuanyuan, lying motionless on the back seat of the car. She was face down, her damp hair obscuring her entire delicate face, and her tiny hands and feet hanging limply. It was evident that there was little hope left. Among the onlookers, some people had already started to cry out of pity, The leading police officer heaved a sigh and instructed others to call an ambulance immediately. He softly called out, "Baby, Uncle is here to save you." The police officer pulled my daughter towards him. In an instant his movements froze. Then he lifted the child out. But when everyone caught a clear glimpse of the child in his arms, they were all left dumbfounded. It wasn't my daughter Yuan Yuan. It was a highly realistic doll. As early as half a year ago, I had customized a doll that was an exact replica of my daughter's appearance, spending 50,000 yuan on it. Without a close inspection, no one could tell that it was a doll. The police officer was visibly annoyed. "What's going on here? Are you people playing such a tasteless joke? Is this how police resources should be squandered?" At this moment Yang Lin, on the contrary, seemed to relax. He bowed obsequiously and said, "Officer, this is just a misunderstanding." However, I firmly blocked the police officer. "Officer, I didn't make a false report. My husband intended to kill my daughter and frame me. This is the truth. If I hadn't replaced my daughter with this doll, my daughter would have been suffocated to death today. My husband had meticulously planned this for a long time. He muted my phone early in the morning so that I couldn't receive any calls. He claimed to be taking our daughter to school, but after I went to work, he brought the child to my car. Then, calculating the time, when he thought my daughter should be suffocated, he and the nanny began to condemn me together." Yang Lin refused to admit it. He claimed that he hadn't taken the child to school. I directly requested the police to search his car. Inside, there was a voice recorder that I had secretly placed there when I went to buy fried dough sticks in the morning. When it was played, we could hear my daughter humming a song and saying to her father, "Dad, come and pick me up early after school." But then Yang Lin said, "Yuan Yuan, how about we don't go to school today?" Yuan Yuan was puzzled. "Dad, didn't you say that good children shouldn't skip school?" "It doesn't matter. Today is Yuan Yuan's birthday, so we won't go. Dad will take you to find Mom, okay?" Yuan Yuan was overjoyed. Little did she know that her father actually intended to send her to her doom. The onlookers listened in silence and regarded Yang Lin with suspicion. There was a hubbub of whispers and discussions. Then I went back to my car and retrieved the voice recorder hidden under the car seat. We heard Yang Lin say, "Yuan Yuan, shall we play a game of hide-and-seek with Mom?" My daughter clapped her hands joyfully and giggled. "Okay. Then Yuan Yuan, hide snugly in Mom's car and wait for Mom to find you." After receiving my daughter's affirmative reply, Yang Lin called the nanny. But when he opened his mouth this time, he addressed her as Mom. "I've already sent Yuan Yuan to Zhao Qingqing's car. You come over in an hour. Make sure to work up your emotions. Drink more water so that you'll have tears when the time comes." Hearing this, I paused the recording and turned to the nanny. "Tell me, why does Yang Lin call you Mom?" The nanny's face turned ashen white, and her lips quivered as she struggled to utter a word. Yang Lin quickly interjected to explain, "I think Aunt Wang has been so kind to us that she's just like a real mother, so I call her Mom." "Is that so? Then why don't you call her that when I'm around? Why only when I'm not here?" Yang Lin put on a pitiful expression. "I was just afraid that you'd be upset." I lowered my head, and a text message slipped out of my phone. "Why would I be upset? Is it because she's the mother of your mistress?" The text message on my phone was a consumption record of Yang Lin's secondary card. Ordinarily, I never paid any attention to his expenditures. But today, when I received the consumption record on my phone, he was clearly in the parking lot. In that instant, I realized that someone else was using his card to make purchases. The record was from Imbai Building. My best friend happened to work as an accountant there. I asked her to look into it. It turned out that the card had been used to buy a baby crib, a baby stroller, and numerous baby outfits. Since there were so many items, the woman who swiped the card requested home delivery. My friend traced the address and found that the woman's name was Lu Ruyan. Upon hearing this name, I immediately connected it to Aunt Wang, because when Aunt Wang first came to our home, I once overheard her chatting with Yang Lin and mention her daughter, whose name was Lu Ruyan. However, Aunt Wang had never brought up this daughter in my presence. This Lu Ruyan must be Yang Lin's mistress. I showed the consumption record on my phone to the police for them to take a photograph. "Officer, I earnestly request that you go and find this Lu Ruyan immediately. She must have been involved in the planning of this incident. Additionally, I need your assistance in obtaining evidence of her extramarital cohabitation with my husband." Evidence of her cohabiting with my husband extramaritally. Now, upon careful reflection, I realized that Yang Lin had been on business trips far too frequently. Previously, I had never paid it any heed because the nanny at home had arranged everything so meticulously that I never felt any inconvenience during Yang Lin's absences. And thus I overlooked this matter. One of the police officers set off with this task. Just as the nanny and Yang Lin were about to send a WeChat message to notify Lu Ruyan, the onlookers slapped their phones out of their hands, shattering the devices. The police officer merely glanced and said nothing. Yang Lin demanded that the police deal with the person who had broken his phone. The police officer snorted and retorted, "Such a trivial matter can be dealt with later. First, sort out your own affairs." At the police officer's signal, I turned on the voice recorder again. After Yang Lin and the nanny finished their call, they left Yuan Yuan alone in the car. A few seconds after getting out of the car, my daughter started to cry. "Dad, I'm so hot. Dad, come and pick up Yuan Yuan. Yuan Yuan doesn't want to play hide and seek anymore." But there was no response to her pleas. The crowd was in an uproar, and people were hurling invectives at Yang Lin. "Are you even human? You left your daughter in the car. Listen to her crying. Don't you feel the slightest bit of heartache? This man has schemed so cunningly. He gets rid of his daughter and frames his wife. Once his wife is in prison, he inherits her money and goes to live a cozy life with his mistress. How despicable. I knew it. He was dragging his feet. His daughter was trapped in the car. And all he did was tell us that his wife was a monster. Yet he wasn't in a hurry to save his daughter. He also claimed not to have the key. And when we wanted to smash the car, he wouldn't allow it. Hearing this, I heaved a sigh. I was reluctant because when I bought this car, I registered it under his name. The entire crowd was astonished. Didn't he say he had no standing in the family? But this car is clearly in his name. It seems his wife truly loves him. However, he has a devious mind. I think he's the one who really has a preference for sons over daughters. With the truth right before their eyes, Yang Lin and the nanny were so terrified that they wanted to flee. But they were surrounded by people in layers upon layers, and there was no way for them to escape. These people were the very ones they had summoned earlier. Truly, they had brought trouble upon themselves. On the other hand, the police officer who had been dispatched to find Lu Ruyan soon called. Lu Ruyan had already admitted that she was the nanny Aunt Wang's daughter. The police were about to take Yang Lin and the nanny away. Before getting into the police car, Yang Lin still attempted to salvage his image. He wept and asked me where our daughter was. The enthusiastic onlookers were equally concerned about my Yuan, so I made a call. Shortly thereafter, my assistant brought Yuan over. When she saw me, Yuan rushed towards me with a big smile. Mom, you're so amazing. I hid in your car, and you found me right away. But after I hid, you and Aunt Xinshin looked for me for such a long time and couldn't find me. She looked at her father and the nanny. Oh, so Mom came to find Dad and Granny. No wonder Yuan couldn't find Mom. Yang Lin opened his mouth, but before he could speak, Yuan waved at him. Dad, where are you going? Weren't we supposed to go to Disneyland? Yang Lin blushed with guilt. You go with Mom today, Yuan. Dad and Granny Wang have some business to attend to and can't go. Yuan was a bit disappointed. Okay, Dad. Then I won't eat the cake tonight. When you and Granny Wang come back, we'll sing the birthday song and blow out the candles together. The onlookers sighed. What a wonderful child. How could her father be so cruel? Yuan didn't quite understand all this. She simply blew a kiss to her departing father. Dad, Yuan loves you. The police quickly cracked this case. Lu Ruyan was Yang Lin's first love. But at that time, Yang Lin's family was extremely poor, and Lu Ruyan looked down on him, so they broke up. Later, after I gave birth to Yuan, Yang Lin went to the labor market to look for a nanny and encountered Aunt Wang, Lu Ruyan's mother. Only then did he learn that Lu Ruyan's father had cancer, and had spent a fortune on treatment. Their house and land had been sold, and they were deeply in debt. Yang Lin, out of old sentiment, brought Aunt Wang back. Since our family paid a high salary, and I treated Aunt Wang well, she was initially quite honest. However, as time passed, she became discontented. In her mindset, all the money in the family must have been earned by the man. So, she thought Yang Lin was now very capable. Consequently, she started to create opportunities for Lu Ruyan and Yang Lin to interact. Gradually, Yang Lin fell for it. At first, Lu Ruyan claimed she didn't want anything. But after Yang Lin gave her his secondary card to spend freely, her greed grew. Then she got pregnant with Yang Lin's child, and told him it was a boy. Yang Lin had always favored sons over daughters. And since I had clearly told him that I wouldn't have a second child except for Yuan, his allegiance shifted to Lu Ruyan. After countless rounds of plotting, the three of them came up with this flawless scheme, intending to frame me for my daughter's death, and then incite netizens to bully my parents, perhaps even cause their deaths. Since my parents had only one daughter, me, in this way, all of my family's property would end up in his hands. In this life, because Yuan hadn't actually been harmed, Yang Lin couldn't be considered as having committed attempted murder. But the netizens were not satisfied. Countless citizens jointly appealed, demanding severe punishment for the three of them. Later, after the judge's deliberation, it was determined that they had the subjective intention of murder. The reason the consequences weren't more severe was that I had replaced Yuan with a doll. Eventually, the court sentenced each of them to 3 years. But since Lu Ruyan was pregnant, the sentence could only be postponed until after she gave birth and completed the lactation period. Subsequently, I filed a lawsuit against Lu Ruyan, demanding that she return all the money Yang Lin had spent on her. Only then did Lu Ruyan realize that Yang Lin was not at all the successful man he had made himself out to be. He was just a man from a poor background who had made it in the city. Lu Ruyan quickly realized that if she gave birth to the child, she and Yang Lin wouldn't be able to afford to raise it. So she had an induced abortion. The fetus aborted was indeed a boy. Because of the induced abortion, Lu Ruyan was no longer a pregnant woman. So, after she finished her postpartum confinement, the police took her away to serve her sentence. I brought the news of Lu Ruyan aborting a boy to Yang Lin in prison. A flash of regret crossed his face, but he quickly concealed it. He begged me piteously, Ching, I was seduced by Lu Ruyan. I was muddle-headed. Please forgive me this once. I promise I'll never think about having a son again. I only want Yuan, this one daughter. Even if not for me, think about our daughter. She can't grow up without a father. I directly thrust the divorce agreement at him. Yuan would be better off without a father like you, a heartless man who wanted to take her life. I walked out of the prison, My daughter and the assistant were playing hopscotch outside the gate. I joined them and played with them for a while. The prison was right behind us, yet we were filled with laughter. Although the past had been dark, I believe that my daughter and I will have a beautiful future. The end.